Hello and welcome to History Ball. Today we'll be taking a look at Antigua and Barbuda. For you who don't know, Antigua and Barbuda are two islands in the Caribbean and they are in the Leeward Island chain. The first people to discover the island of Antigua were the Shiboni, who were hunter-gatherers. Later, another people group called the Sibuni discovered the island and introduced agriculture. Later, the Arawak people came to Antigua by canoeing from Venezuela, but most Arawaks left Antigua at some point. The reason why is unknown, but it might be that many raids from another people, the Caribs. Later, the Caribs became almost the only people to live on the island. This might have been because of the many raids they made. All the people on the island either die or leave. The first people to find the islands and report back to the old world were on the second voyage of Christopher Columbus. In the early 1600s, English settlers colonized Antigua and later Barbuda and established farming settlements there. Later, a man named Christopher Codrington came to Antigua and started sugar plantations. These were hugely successful, and later Christopher rented the whole island of Barbuda and started a settlement named after his last name there. To this very day, this is the only town on Barbuda. On Barbuda, they grew food and raised slaves, both of which would be transported to sugar plantations on Antigua. With Codrington's huge success in the sugar business, most plantations on Antigua shift to it to try to gain more profit. It is likely that the first tried to enslave the local population to work at these sugar plantations, but since they died in the thousands because of disease brought with from the old world, they started to buy slaves from African kingdoms and tribes instead. In 1834, slavery was banished in all British colonies, and thus also in Antigua and Barbuda, but this not changed much for the people living there, since the only work to be found on the islands were for the plantation, so it was either that or to starve. In the early 20th century, a trade union was established to try to make life better for the plantation workers, but it was later banned, which led to riots and imprisonments of the leaders. But 20 years later, the United Kingdom's government allowed the formation of a trade union, and a man named Vera Bird soon became the leader of the union, and later formed the Antigua Labour Party. This party won the 1951 election, which would decide who would sit on a council, which would have power along with the governor of Antigua and the governor of the Leeward Islands. In the 60s, Antigua and Barbuda became a dependency of the UK instead of a part of the colony, the British Leeward Islands, which meant that they were at least to a degree self-governing, and the Antiguan Labour Party, or APL, under Byrd got more power. Byrd tried to convince the British to give Antigua its independence. Antigua did not gain its independence at first, but became an associated state, which means they were practically independent, except for foreign affairs and defense. Later, in 1981, total independence was won for Antigua, Barbuda, and uninhabited island of Redonda. But they are still part of the British Commonwealth, where Byrd was now Prime Minister and continued to be that until 1994, when his health was too bad and his son took over, but it was by election, so no dynasties here. But 10 years later, in 2004, an opposing party called United Progressive Party, or UP, won the elections and took power, but in 2014, APL won again. Well, that's all I have for Antigua and Barbuda. See you next time. We'll be covering Argentina.